I'm going to show how to install a Moen Caldwell bathroom faucet and pop-up drain onto a sink. There's a gasket that's labeled top and front. It has a raised lip on the top of it. Slip it onto the bottom of the faucet. Place the faucet and the gasket onto the sink top. Turn the mounting nuts clockwise onto the threaded shanks. Turn them until you meet a little bit of resistance, but you can still move the faucet. The bottom of my sink is not totally flat, and when I turn down the tightening nut, it doesn't lay flat on the bottom of the sink and it flexes. I'm concerned that over time the nut being flexed may break, so I'm adding a large slip joint washer between the bottom of the sink and the nut. I can still move the faucet. Place the lift rod into the faucet. Ensure that the faucet is positioned that the lift rod can be pulled up and down. Then position the faucet so that it's straight and evenly on top of the gasket. Hold the faucet in place and hand tighten the mounting nuts until resistance is met. If the faucet is installed in the vanity, you'll need another person to help. The idea is to tighten the nuts hand tight so that the faucet is secure. Don't over tighten them. If you're installing the faucet while the sink's in the vanity, you may need a basin wrench to reach the plastic mounting nuts. If you don't know how to use a basin wrench, click on the channel name Know How Now. I have a video that shows how to do that. Or if you don't have a basin wrench and you don't want to buy one, and you have some 1 1/4 inch PVC pipe laying around the house, you can easily make your own wrench. I have a video that shows how to do that. Install the drain body into the sink. Remove the pivot rod and the plug and the waste seat. Sometimes these pop-up drain bodies leak. The water seeps between the threads and down beyond this gasket. To prevent that from happening, so spin the drain nut up towards the top of the drain tube. Expose about 1.5 inches of thread. Pull the gasket up towards the end of the drain tube and spin the nut all the way down to the end of the threads. Wrap some Teflon tape clockwise around the threads. Do maybe 3 or 4 turns. Put some Teflon tape on the top part of the threads. Soften up a ball of plumber's putty about 1.5 inches in diameter, and then make it into a rope. Wrap the rope around the bottom of the waste seat. Place the waste seat into the hole of the sink and press down to push some of the putty out. If the sink is stone, granite, or marble, be sure to use non-staining plumber's putty. Hold the waste seat with one hand, or have someone else hold it, and turn the drain body clockwise onto the threads of the waste seat until you meet resistance. Give the drain body a gentle tap with the heel of your hand and hold on to the waste seat and spin the drain body and the waste seat together so that it's lined up with where the lift rod and the threads for the pivot rod line up. If you want to be extra cautious and ensure that no water does get between these threads and this rubber gasket and cause a leak, you can put a very thin rope of plumber's putty in this gap. Turn the drain nut clockwise. Tighten it until you meet resistance, and then maybe another eighth or a quarter turn. You want to make it snug to compress this rubber gasket, but you don't want to make it so tight that you break the nut. Remove the excess putty from around the drain. Some people use silicone to make their seal. That's a little more permanent, and if you do that, you'll have to wait for the silicone to dry before you can water test your work. Insert the drain plug. You can make the drain plug removable or non-removable. To make it non-removable, insert the pivot rod through the hole of the bottom of the drain plug. If you want to be able to remove the drain plug, then just set the drain plug on top of the pivot rod. Install the pivot rod into the drain body. Tighten it until it just meets resistance. The pivot rod should move up and down with a little bit of a resistance. The tighter that you make this nut, the harder it will be to move the pivot rod up and down. Position the lift rod to the height where you want it when the plug is open. I've wrapped a piece of painter's tape around mine so that it stays in this position. Position the pivot rod so that the drain is popped up. Measure to see which hole you need to use on the lift rod strap. You should be able to clamp onto the end of the lift rod. Install the strap. Take the spring clip. Align the spring clip holes with the strap holes. Squeeze the spring clip. Connect the lift rod to the strap. Tighten the nut down by hand. Adjust so that you have a smooth mechanical function. I'll remove my painter's tape. Test to see that the drain plug works properly. Tighten the nut on the lift strap. No need to over tighten it. You don't want to strip it. just snug. I hope you found this video helpful. A thumbs up is always appreciated. Click on the channel name, Know How Now, to find other helpful videos. And thanks for watching.